Hello everyone, this is part 14 of What If Naruto Had a Proper Teacher, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Team 7 had picked up Kurenai's body, Kakazu's corpse and the still screaming dismembered body and head of Hiden. Team 7 wasn't quite sure what was keeping Hiden alive. The brain needed blood and oxygen to function, but evidently Hiden's strange chakra allowed it to operate despite not being connected to a heart and lungs. The return trip to the village went uneventfully and they reported in. After careful discussion with the T&I unit, they released Hiden to their tender mercies. Kakazu was taken to the hospital and given to Tsunade to perform the autopsy. Jiraiya had met with them and let them know he would inform Asuma. He also congratulated them on taking down two S-class shinobi. While Jiraiya would rather have Kurenai alive than the potential intelligence they were going to get from Hiden, he would not look a gift horse in the mouth. For a long time he had been operating in the dark about the Akatsuki and the true motives. Their cell-based operation meant that Itachi didn't know the full scope of the Akatsuki plans. Having intelligence form a different angle would be invaluable. An emotionally exhausted Team 7 returned to their base of operations. In 2 days they would attend the funeral and be out in the village under their real faces. Break. Anko had not taken the news of her friend's death well. Kurenai had been one of the few shinobi in the village who didn't ignore her or outright look down on her. As Orochimaru's old apprentice, the village had distrusted her ever since his defection. With her being part of the kill team that went and finished him, it was getting better, but habits were hard to change and Anko wasn't quite ready to forgive and forget. But Kurenai had been different. She had seen a hurting Kunoichi and had comforted her. They had become fast friends. Outside of information she learned as part of her torture and interrogation duties, she was cut off from village gossip and information. Kurenai had kept her in the loop and they had spent long hours drinking and chatting. And now her friend was dead. And one of the bastards that had done it to her was in the interrogation cells and she wasn't allowed to pay him back. Obiki had told her it would not be professional for her to personally take a hand in the interrogation. Anko thought that was stupid. The piece of shit regenerates, what the fuck are they worried about? Anko went to work out some steam in her favorite training grounds, the Forest of Death. It held no danger for a Jonin-level shinobi like her. Well, that wasn't quite true. It wouldn't be a good idea to take a nap there. Anko worked out her frustrations by turning one of the thick trees into kindling with nothing more than taijutsu strikes. The snake style of fighting was all about attacking with tremendous force and precision from unexpected angles. It had served her well in the career she had made for herself. Teasing Iruka, chatting with Kurenai and a thorough enjoyment of her job had kept her sane. Teasing Iruka was new. Her job was pleasurable, but its joys transitory. Her only real grounding was Kurenai. And she was gone. Orochimaru had beaten the tears out of her and even now they would not fall. But she still trembled with regret and rage. After another several hours of tree murder, she had spent her rage for a time. In her exhausted state she thought about what made Kurenai. Kurenai was happiest when she was with her team or when she was with Asuma. I know you would want me to be happy, Kurenai. You told me I should stop teasing poor Iruka and actually ask him out. I still think you're crazy. It's never going to work. But for you, Kurenai, I'll give it a shot. Break. The Akatsuki convened using Gentoshin no Jutsu, astral projection jutsu. They had to use this jutsu since not all of their members were in the same geographic location. Pain began. Kakazu is dead and Hiden has been captured by Konoha. Kisum laughed. The zombie combo taken out. Good riddance. Pain turned his gaze on Hoshigaki. You should respect your comrades. Sasori asked, who defeated them? Zetsu rasped, Kakashi Hitachi's team. Kisum grinned and looked over to Itachi. Hey, isn't that the team your kid brother is on? Itachi inclined his head. Deidara looked intrigued but didn't say anything for the moment. Sasori asked, should we try to retrieve Hiden? He was new to our organization but the Leaf could still learn too much. No. Suna and Konoha are allied. If we attack Konoha, it will put our negotiations with the Kazekage at risk. Hiden did not know much enough about our plans to take that risk, Pain replied. Hitachi's team is getting stronger. Are you sure you will be able to handle the Nine Tails Jinchuriki? Sasori asked this and looked toward the projections of Itachi and Kisame. No problem, Kisame replied. I do not foresee any issues, Itachi all added. Pain called the impromptu meeting to a close. Your current orders are still standing. Sasori, you will take over as treasurer. One by one the projections winked out and the Akatsuki went about the duties. Break. Jiraiya sat behind his desk as Ibiki Morino explained the lack of progress with their prisoner. Hokage-sama, the prisoner has yet to break during interrogation. Pain affects him but has not caused him to give up any information. Jiraiya nodded. Have Inoiki try his hand at it then. Ibiki bowed and then said, we still aren't sure how he is actually alive. I'd like to have Tsunade-sama review the rest of his body and head. There may be some medicinal benefits if we can learn how he is regenerating. I don't think we will. His chakra is not natural. But it wouldn't hurt go and have Tsunade take a look. Ibiki bowed and left the Hokage's office. The funeral would begin soon and Jiraiya was not looking forward to. He hated funerals but as Hokage he had to preside over the fallen. There are too many names on the memorial stone already. And I have a feeling before we are done with the Akatsuki there will be many more added. Break. The funeral was a solemn occasion. Kurenai Yuhi was well liked in the shinobi community. The Aburame, Hyuga, Sarutobi and Inuzuka clan were present in numbers. In the academy, young would-be shinobi were taught not to show emotions. The academy instructors would be hard-pressed to justify that rule if their students were in attendance. Asuma Sarutobi lost almost all composure. Kiba was right there with him. Hinata and Shino pulled off a neutral facade but even their blank faces had an aura of mourning and barely suppressed pain. It was a day eerily similar to the day of the third Hokage's funeral. While attendance was lighter some of the emotion was stronger. The Sandaime had lived a long and legendary life. He had seen his students become master shinobi and had seen his children and grandchildren grow. Kurenai had died childless, her future cut tragically short. Death wasn't a rare occurrence for shinobi but this one touched more than most. When it ended Team 7 filed off while the rest of Team 8 and Asuma stayed and kept a silent vigil. Break. Kakashi and Shikaku were with the Hokage when Asuma stormed into the office. It had only been a day after the funeral and Asuma didn't look like he had slept a wink. The Anbu had let him in because they knew Jiraiya. Jiraiya would not have wanted blood in front of his office because of a grieving shinobi hadn't followed proper protocol when seeing the Hokage. Jiraiya-sama, I request, no, I demand information on the Akatsuki. I am going to hunt every last one of those bastards down and kill them. The Akatsuki was a secretive organization, not a secret organization. They were a mercenary group that was highly skilled and took missions. They had done a lot of work in the land of Earth and had also collected a number of large bounties. The fact that Asuma knew of the Akatsuki was unsurprising. Jiraiya sighed heavily as he looked at Asuma's angry eyes. The Akatsuki who did this to Kurenai is dead and his partner is being interrogated and will eventually be killed as well. Don't give yourself over to vengeance. Asuma slammed a hand down on Jiraiya's desk. No. Kurenai was everything to me. I wasn't there to save her but I will avenge her. Vengeance has already taken place. Kakazu is dead. Hidden will soon follow, Jiraiya countered. There are more of them, I refuse to let them live out their lives while Kurenai lies dead in the ground. Jiraiya was about to say more but Kakashi spoke up first. Actually we do plan on dealing with the Akatsuki but there is a problem with having you help. Asuma did a double take. What do you mean? You're too weak. Asuma exploded. I'm an elite Jonin. I was one of the 12 guardians. I may not be an S-class Sharingan implanted freak like you but I can fight. Kakashi looked bored. You're not half bad but you've stopped progressing. You've gotten lazy and against the Akatsuki you just don't cut it. This is the organization that has Itachi Uchiha as a subordinate. Asuma growled at Kakashi and took a threatening step forward. Kakashi simply looked on placidly. Asuma thought better of attacking someone in the Hokage's office and struggled to regain his composure. Jiraiya-sama, Kakashi is wrong. I am strong and if his team can fight the Akatsuki and win then so can I. Kakashi responded before Jiraiya could. There are two differences between you and my team Asuma. My team follows my orders and in your emotionally compromised state I don't think you will. The second reason is simple, all of them are stronger than you. Asuma's jaw dropped for a second and then he laughed. Your arrogance is amazing. Your team is good, but one-on-one I can take on any of them unless Naruto used the QB chakra. Kakashi stood up. Asuma, the Leaf Village needs to be strong, so I'll make you a wager. If you can beat the opponent of your choosing from my team in a one-on-one battle next week, you'll be part of the next operation against the Akatsuki. However, if you lose, then you get put on a training schedule devised by Guy and myself. Only after you finish your training will you be allowed to join in any mission against the Akatsuki. Asuma confidently agreed. All right, Kakashi, you have yourself a deal. Jiraiya asked, Asuma, who do you wish to fight? Sakura, the bearded Jonin replied. Kakashi didn't react and Asuma left feeling as if he had gotten one over on Kakashi. After Asuma left, Jiraiya turned to Kakashi. He's going to be pretty mad when realizes there is no operation planned against the Akatsuki. Kakashi gave his Hokage an eye smile. True, but I have a strong feeling we'll have to fight them again. The Akatsuki does a lot of work in the land of Earth, and I know they are going to be itching to send assassins after Naruto. My strategy of faking missions outside of High no Kuni isn't going to work forever. Jiraiya changed the subject to the upcoming Jonin trials. Any surprises? Kakashi shook his head. No, it is gratifying that Iruka feels qualified enough to be a Jonin. He was pegged as a career Chunin, but with some pushing from Naruto he agreed to continue training. Imagine if every Konoha shinobi started to train that way. Kakashi trailed off in a thoughtful voice. Shikaku groaned, not this again. Kakashi held his hands up, just making a point, not starting another argument. Jiraiya scanned the list again. Looks like your son is ready, as is Neji Hyuga. Shikaku sighed. Shikamaru has the intelligence to win if he bothers putting in the effort. His taijutsu is still only Chunin level. His genjutsu detection, clan-based ninjutsu and battlefield tactics are Jonin level. The discussion drifted onto other village business. Jiraiya and the Mizukage had exchanged correspondence and they were trying to make arrangements for a formal meeting. Neither side had full trust in the other. Kakashi gave it some thought and finally said, we're going to have to take a risk if we want this to go beyond letters back and forth. May won't come here and it would be too risky to go the Hidden Mist Village, but we will have to meet in the Land of Water. Security will be a major issue. I would insist on going with you if that is your decision. Jiraiya waved him off. Bar Kakashi, I was surviving ambushes while you were learning how to walk. Kakashi nonchalantly responded, I know, you're old, that's why I need to protect you. Why you? Shikaku barked out a laugh, walked into that one Hokage-sama. Jiraiya muttered something about a lack of respect and the three continued to go through the myriad issues that came up when running a hidden village. Break. Kakashi broke the news to Sakura the following day during training. What do you mean I am fighting Asuma Sarutobi one-on-one? Ma, you'll do fine. Naruto showed his support as well. You can do it, Sakura-chan. Asuma is even older than Kakashi-sensei. Sakura had to smile at the remark while Kakashi did his best to pretend he never heard it. But sensei, I'm low Jonin in taijutsu. My ninjutsu is limited to the academy basics and one kaiten jutsu. While my genjutsu is probably the best in the village, he knows it and will expect it. Trying to drop a genjutsu on someone who is expecting it is twice as hard. Kakashi simply shrugged. I guess you'll need to figure out a plan then. Sakura began thinking about various battle tactics and strategies she could use against the far more experienced Jonin. Oh, and to make it more interesting, my cute little Chunin, if you lose no Fuinjutsu for a month. Sakura shuddered. No. You can't be serious, sensei. I'm about to make a breakthrough on the chakra limits per kanji dilemma. It could revolutionize how items are stored. I guess that means you have ample incentive to win. Kakashi turned to Naruto. While Sakura is preparing for her fight, it's time you invent your own jutsu that can harness the extreme amounts of chakra you have access to. The two left are now utterly motivated. Sakura to her thoughts. Naruto asked, hey, where is Sasuke anyway? In the village, he had a few people he needed to meet in regards to signing a summoning contract. Naruto grinned, that's good, but nothing ever beats Toad's. Having a summon is not just about combat strength. For example, the contract I hold allows me to track shinobi as well as any Inuzuka. It's good that you have pride in your allies, but don't look down on others. Hi Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi had moved to the largest training room in their base. The room was massive and had seals etched along the walls that would prevent all but the most devastating jutsu from causing too much damage. Naruto, jutsu are created with efficiency in mind. Some jutsu can have extra chakra forced into them and expand the effects, but even then it is wasteful. I want you to create a new futon jutsu that is both powerful and chakra intensive. A jutsu that only someone with massive chakra reserves can use. That means I'm not looking for some overpowered, futon, datetopper, wind release, great breakthrough, I'm looking for something unique. What should it do? Massive area effect damage. Both Sasuke and I have assassination techniques for single targets. You also have the Rasengan and your chakra conducting katana. What we need is another large-scale jutsu, something even bigger than Raiten, Jaibushi Deno, lightning release, massive electromagnetic murder. Naruto wasn't quite sure how to create his own jutsu, and so the two had a long discussion on how it could be done. The hand seals directed the flow of chakra in specific ways. The first step was to imagine how a possible jutsu would function and then find the hand seals that would direct the chakra in that fashion. Jutsu crafters and theorists went through hundreds of different combinations before actually trying something. The process could take years. But Kakashi explained how Naruto had the amazing advantage of being able to test ideas at a much faster pace thanks to his clones. Naruto, you've come a long way in the intelligence and knowledge department, but I don't expect you to be a jutsu crafting genius. Instead, I want you to try to anything that seems like it could work and through simple brute force numbers come up with something viable. My father created awesome jutsu and I am going to too. Believe it. Naruto was confident in his eventual success. Kakashi was pleased with his enthusiasm. I'm sure you will, Naruto. Break. Sasuke chose to seek out Konohamaru first. It was written in the accounts of the Kyuubi attack that Enma the monkey had been summoned by the Sandaime. He had transformed into a diamond-hard adamantine staff that had enough power to knock back the nine-tailed fox. That kind of power was appealing to him after his clash with Iwa's Jinchuriki. He waited for Konohamaru to finish his day at the academy. The boy would be graduating soon and Sasuke dropped down next to him and his friends. He inclined his head slightly and said, Konohamaru Sarutobi, I would like a few moments of your time. Konohamaru looked startled and said, Hey, aren't you Naruto's teammate? Is he back in town? Why doesn't he ever visit me anymore? I'm his rival, you know. Sasuke smirked at the idea that the kid was a rival to Naruto. I can pass along your questions to Naruto. But I wanted to talk to you about something else. Like what? I'm an incredibly talented ninja. I guarantee you that I'm better than whoever they have training you is. What I'm offering is private lessons from me. I know jutsu that they wouldn't even dream of teaching you until you reach Chunin. I can help tutor you and make sure you are ready for the very first available Chunin exam. Konohamaru's eyes were shining. Sasuke Uchiha had a reputation. He was the last Uchiha, the top-ranked member of his academy class. He was a natural genius, wielder of the Sharingan and on the deadliest team in the village. The chance to train with him was an excellent opportunity. I'm interested. What do ya want in exchange? I want to sign the monkey contract. Konohamaru opened his mouth in surprise. He then looked down. Sorry, but that isn't an option. Why not? The monkey clan has been in my family since before there was a Konohagakure. We have never allowed any shinobi outside of our family to sign. Sorry, but I cannot allow it. Sasuke was taken aback by the firm rejection. Konohamaru kept talking, but I'm still interested in training. I don't know a lot of jutsu, but I do know one called the sexy jutsu that. Before Konohamaru could even finish, Sasuke disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Break. If Sasuke couldn't have the monkey contract, then he would settle for his second choice. The snake contract had a lot to offer. Not being able to summon Manda would be frustrating, especially since Naruto could summon the Toad Chief, but it would be better than nothing. The current holder of the snake contract was Anko Mitarashi. She normally worked with Konoha's torture and interrogation department but was currently on leave. That meant he had to track her down. He eventually found her in a secluded training area sparring with Iruka. Sasuke watched with his Sharingan. Iruka had improved significantly. His taijutsu strikes were swift and had power behind them. His Suta ninjutsu wasn't flashy, but it was quite effective defensively. Sasuke applauded the fast creation of a water clone to accept the blow of dozens of snakes that had poured out of Anko's sleeve. The real Iruka had counter-attacked and Anko had been forced to break off her attack. The two noticed Sasuke and called a halt to the spar. Iruka spoke first. Sasuke, what can I do for you? Actually, I came to talk with Anko-san. Iruka blinked. Oh, all right. Aruka looked slightly unsure of himself, but he cleared his throat and then said, "Anko, did you still want me to Anko smiled, "Of course, and you better not be late." Sasuke saw heat enter Aruka's cheeks and he quickly waved goodbye to the both of them and used a shunshin to beat a hasty retreat. Anko had smiled in the direction he had gone. Even if Sasuke wasn't a genius, it was obvious the two had something going on between the two of them. Sasuke, however, was the last person to care about who was dating who in the village and didn't comment. "All right, brat, what did you want to talk to me about?" "I'll be direct. I want to be a signer of the snake contract." Anko was taken aback by the request. With Orochimaru's death, the snake contract had reverted to her. She was now the human link to the snake clan. She could add signers on if she wished. It actually didn't cost her a thing either. Most snakes served the holder of the contract based on strength. In snake society, the weak served the strong. If you summoned a snake that thought you were weak, it could get extremely ugly. Before Orochimaru had turned against the leaf, he had told her the history of the snake contract and how in the past several shinobi had lost their lives to their own allies. There are some things I should explain about the snakes first. They aren't like the toads, slugs or monkeys. They only respect power. But if you feel it's worth the risk, I'll let you sign on one condition. Sasuke had expected some sort of quid pro quo. And that is. Anko sighed, "Tell Kakashi to get over it. I know I screwed up on the Orochimaru mission, but I'd like him to go back to the way things were before." "What do you mean?" Anko explained, "Most of the village hates me. Half think I'm some sort of traitor and the other half think I'm a psychotic torture-happy home wrecker. Kakashi was one of the few who would treat me just like any other shinobi. We weren't friends or anything like that, but it was nice to have someone who treated me like what I am. A kunoichi who serves her village to the best of her ability. I'll see what I can do, but that seems reasonable enough. Tell me more about the snake contract and I'll talk with Kakashi tonight." Sasuke had watched the Jonin trials with his Sharingan to see if he could uncover any new jutsu. Sadly, the field was rather limited when it came to jutsu he would find useful. Aruka used his Suiten jutsu effectively and efficiently, but it was primarily C and B ranked. Shikamaru used his clan jutsu that Sasuke was not able to copy. And Neji Hyuga used his clan's gentle fist. There were a couple of civilians who had made it to Chunin and were trying to take the next step up but were simply not ready for the jump to Jonin. And Akamaiki was talented but had been utterly outclassed by Neji. Sasuke doubted he would get the nod, but there was potential there. Kotetsu had an interesting skill set, a bit of Fuinjutsu, Genjutsu, and he also wielded an odd weapon in close combat. However, Aruka breezed by his Genjutsu and proved superior in close combat. Beko, a Chunin who favored close combat, had been outplayed at every part of his match by the genius Nara. The Jonin exams were not like the Chunin exams. One-on-one fights occurred, but also demonstrations of particular talents and ninjutsu outside of combat were assessed. Unlike the Chunin exams that were a spectacle, the Jonin exams tended to be private and only trusted shinobi could observe them. Sasuke understood that a Jonin's secret technique should be hidden until used against an enemy. Well, that was useless. Neji would be fun to match in close combat. His Kaiten isn't nearly as perfect of a defense as he likes to think. Naruto will be happy that Aruka was one of selections. It was unlikely Anko would join him for training, as she was going to be celebrating with the newly minted Jonin. Sasuke returned to his snake training alone. As per Anko's instructions, he had started summoning relatively unintelligent snakes. They ranged from tiny grass snakes that could be used to spy to massive building-sized constrictors. Manda's direct family was not summoned by Sasuke, at least not yet. For now, he was content with having another tool in his arsenal. Eventually he would summon more intelligent and therefore dangerous snakes. While he doubted any of them save for Manda himself could kill him, there was no need to take chances. When he did summon one, he would do so under conditions that favored him completely. Break. Kiba had been upset, angry and rude when he lost his mother. He didn't act like that when Kurenai-sensei was killed. Hinata almost wished he had. No. Instead of acting out in anger, he had become extremely withdrawn. The once boisterous boy had lost all energy. His sister had to bully him to the table for meals. Even Akamaru couldn't get a smile out of him. Hinata was concerned and confronted Kiba directly. Hana smiled at her as she entered the Inuzuka home. "Thank you for coming, Hinata." "Kiba, isn't Kiba right now?" I've never seen him like this and I really don't know what to do. Hinata wasn't sure what to do either, but she owed it to her teammate to try to get him out of his funk. Yes, Kurenai's death had been recent, but what he was doing was unhealthy. Hana took Hinata to Kiba's room. There they found Kiba staring out the window. Akamaru barked when they entered and greeted the two. He then looked toward Kiba and let out a whine. Hinata moved next to Kiba and said, "Kiba, it looks like Akamaru is worried about you." Silence was Kiba's response. Hana growled, "Kiba, you have a guest, do not shame our family." Kiba twitched and looked at Hinata. "Oh. Hello, Hinata. I'll be fine, Hana, can I talk to Kiba alone?" Hana nodded and left the area while Hinata turned back to Kiba. "I have barely seen you since the funeral. What have you been doing?" Kiba inhaled sharply. "Why do you care? Our team is broken and we'll be split up. It's probably for the best." The old Hinata would have recoiled as if she had been struck at such a remark, but Hinata had been trained by Kakashi. When you are surprised is when you should have the most control, because that is when you would tend to be most vulnerable. Instead, Hinata didn't react and after a moment or two asked, "Why would it be for the best?" "Because maybe you and Shino will join a team with someone who can protect you." Hinata sighed. "It wasn't your fault. Kurenai-sensei ordered all of us to leave. Because I was too weak. I was the team's muscle. If I was a shinobi like Naruto or Sasuke, I could have protected her and the entire team. You can't blame yourself for not being a powerful prodigy. Not everyone can be a genius." Kiba snarled, "Bullshit. Naruto was the dead last of our class. He was a moron. But you know what? He worked hard and look at where he is now. Strong enough to fight the bastards we ran from. So if that's the case, why are you moping about and not getting stronger so you can protect everyone?" It's too late. Hinata's hand blurred as she slapped Kiba across the face. Kiba backed up stunned. Is Akamaru dead? Is Hana dead? Is Shino dead? Am I dead? Do you care about any of us? Kiba shuddered. I don't want to care. I don't want to feel like this again. I just want to be left alone. Hinata's heart was breaking for Kiba, but she kept her mask firmly in place. Kiba, you have been a good teammate. You were wild, you didn't care about rules, and you made me laugh. But you know what I respected the most about you? Your courage. Kiba flinched. Yes, courage. You would throw yourself at any danger to protect the team, your pack. You were willing to fight two S-class shinobi that would have killed you. Can you still be courageous? Because if the reason you are acting like this is because you are afraid of pain, then you aren't Kiba Inuzuka. You're a pathetic coward that is a disgrace to the village, his clan, his team, and to the sensei who sacrificed her life for him. Kiba was shocked. Hinata never spoke like that. After Kakashi's training, she no longer stuttered and acted in the confident manner one would expect former Hyuga heiress, but she was never like this. Kiba's hand trembled and he clenched it into a fist. Kiba was breathing heavily. He closed his eyes and felt the pain in his chest amplify. It screamed to get out. He let loose a howl of mourning for what he had lost. His mother and then his surrogate mother. He never wanted to feel this kind of pain again, but he wouldn't be a coward. That wasn't Kiba Inuzuka. He looked at Hinata and saw a proud kunoichi. She was beautiful, strong, and would make a worthy mate. Kiba's emotions were on a roller coaster, but he knew one thing. A woman who could break the suffocating despair was a woman he wanted at his side forever. You're right, Hinata-chan. Enough moping, I haven't sparred since that mission. Let's go, now. Hinata was perceptive and saw the change was tinged with a desire for her. She loved Naruto, not Kiba, but Naruto was obviously still infatuated with Sakura. Neither would be a choice that the Hyuga family would probably accept anyway. Why must things be so complicated? Hinata let none of her thoughts show on her face. Instead she nodded. Hi, let's go train. If we prove that we can work as a team, I know we can persuade the Hokage to keep Team 8 together. Break. Asuma had spent the week practicing on his genjutsu detection. He figured that the pink-haired girl's only hope was to catch him in an illusion. Being aware of the potential made it unlikely to be successful, but he was damned if he was going to let Kakashi's student beat him. The area Kakashi had set aside for their battle was a large circle in Training Field 41. It left plenty of room for both fighters to spread out. Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, Shizune, Iruka and Anko were already present. Asuma had told his old team about the fight and they had come with him. Ino had lectured him on not hurting Sakura too badly. Sakura appeared relaxed, wearing a modified Chunin vest that had additional pockets. Asuma's sharp eye caught that, and he thought, oh himself, she must have packed a bunch of the Fuinjutsu scrolls Team 7 likes to use. Kakashi explained the rules. The fight would go on until one side gave up, dropped unconscious, or stepped outside of the circle. Kakashi could also call the fight if the lives of the participants were in too much danger. Shizune was present to provide immediate medical attention if it was necessary. Naruto shouted out, "Kick his ass, Sakura-chan." Shikamaru looked very thoughtful as he glanced between Sakura and Asuma. The two started at opposite ends of the battlefield. Kakashi gave the signal to go, and Asuma pulled out his trench knives and waited for the inevitable genjutsu attack. Sakura's hands moved fast and she pulled out a scroll and opened it. The scroll expelled a sizable amount of fog that soon covered the circle. As Asuma expected, he felt a tendril of genjutsu try to alter his perceptions. He easily shut it down and called out, "You'll have to do better than that, Sakura." Asuma's keen hearing and awareness allowed him to sense the kunai streaking toward him. The infamous kunai scroll, dangerous to a Chunin but not to someone like me. The first kunai entered his field of vision and he saw the exploding tag on it. He had intended to block the kunai with his knives, but that would be risky with explosive tags trailing from their hilts. Instead, Asuma used futon, repusho, wind release, gale palm, to scatter the projectiles away from him. Asuma watched in horror as a massive fireball crashed into his wind jutsu. If Asuma wasn't as elite as he had claimed, he would have badly burned and in need of Shizune's medical attention. But he was one of Konoha's elite, and so he used the substitution jutsu without hand seals that took him away from danger at the last instant. Even so, he still had mild burns from the heat. Asuma realized he had been played perfectly so far. The fog blocked his line of sight so he couldn't see Sakura use complete Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. With Asuma being a futon specialist, it would have been natural for him to use the gale palm to defend against a swarm of explosive tag-laced kunai. She must have already started the jutsu even while the kunai were traveling. Asuma growled in irritation. He saw Sakura still pouring on the flames. The heat had dissipated much of the summoned fog. He rolled smoothly and threw one of his chakra-conducting kunai at Sakura's shoulder. He didn't want to kill her after all. But to his horror, Sakura saw the kunai at the last second and dodged the wrong way. Asuma could only watch in despair as the futon-covered kunai speared right through Sakura's heart. Ino's scream came with a surge of horrendous guilt. What have I done? Asuma was still with shock, and only his preternatural senses allowed him to feel the danger incoming. The kunai had almost reached him when he broke free of the genjutsu. He didn't even have time for a near-instantaneous kawarimi. Instead, he turned to the side with every ounce of his battle-hardened reflexes. The kunai exploded into a pile of noxious gas as it sailed past him. The gas enveloped him and he exhaled sharply to avoid breathing any of it in. His eyes watered badly. Whatever the poison was, it was nasty. He was confident it wasn't lethal, but breathing any of it in would end the fight. Asuma leapt away from the cloud and turned his blurry vision toward Sakura. The young Chunin hadn't been idle. In fact, she had 5 scrolls open in mid-air, held up by nothing but chakra strings. One of the scrolls opened up with a hail of kunai. Asuma dodged to the side, his speed quick enough to avoid the swift-moving kunai. Another scroll opened, sending a second wave. Asuma dodged again and went on the offensive. Futon jutsu would be dangerous against a Kaiten user, so he went with his second affinity. Kaiten, Gurnka, fire release, great flame flower. 3 large blasts of flame leapt toward Sakura. Sakura used the body substitution technique to avoid the blazing fireballs. Asuma saw where she went and saw the rapid hand seals she was using. That isn't any kind of Kaiten jutsu. Kekai, Yonko artery, barrier art, 4 parts. 4 kunai that were on the ground shone with purple light that in an instant connected to each other and created a 4-sided rectangular shape around Asuma. The light extended to each of the kunai and then became 3-dimensional. It was roughly 8 feet to a side and 8 feet high. Asuma found himself trapped in a barrier. In shock, he saw the other kunai on the ground start to expel more poisonous gas. Several of the kunai were inside the barrier. The first thing Asuma tried to do was cut through the barrier with his chakra blades. The blades seemed to cut into the barrier. He could sense chakra being redistributed from around the barrier. If he could cause enough damage to the barrier, it would be break and he could get free. He only had a limited amount of time to do so since the gas was quickly filling his Fuinjutsu-created prison. Asuma held his breath as he cut into the barrier over and over again. He had slashed the barrier numerous times in the first 15 seconds until he changed tactics. He used Futon, Repusho, Wind Release, Gale Palm, to clear some of the poisonous gas away. Unfortunately, the barrier was airtight and the gas just rebounded from the barrier walls. He sipped a tiny bit of air and felt the noxious chemical compound filter into his chakra system. With little time, he unleashed a powerful Kaiten Jutsu at the far wall of the prison. The fire seemed to scorch the purple walls, but again chakra was redistributed and the prison remained intact. Asuma fell to his knees as the gas choked him, and in another few seconds he was unconscious. Sakura waited another minute before releasing the barrier jutsu. The gas dissipated and Shizune rushed over to the fallen Asuma and demanded to know what was used. Shizune-san, it was not lethal. He'll be all right with a day's worth of rest. Shizune checked to be sure, but Sakura was correct. The gas was not lethal, it just caused unconsciousness and interfered with the chakra network. It was actually used quite a bit by Moyagaku, village hidden in the haze, when they had to take targets down alive. Ino was positively shocked at the outcome. It had only been 2 years since they had graduated from the academy. They were all Chunin now and they had heard stories about Team 7, but this. Sakura had taken down her sensei. Ino loved to gossip and she knew by reputation Asuma was considered by many to be part of the top 10 most powerful shinobi in the village. Either rumor was wrong or Sakura had completely eclipsed her when it came to ninja talent. Kakashi congratulated Sakura and then turned to Shikamaru. Shikamaru, you are now a Jonin of Konohagakure, can you tell me why Asuma was defeated? Shikamaru yawned, it should be obvious. Indulge me, Shikaku speaks highly of you and I'd like to see if it is more than a father's pride talking. Shikamaru shrugged, Asuma-sensei lost for a lot of reasons. From the start he underestimated Sakura's abilities and was far too passive. Go on, Kakashi instructed. Sakura did her research, she planned for the fight. She knew he was a futon user and with that knowledge she set the stage to counter his wind jutsu immediately. More importantly, it allowed her to dictate the fight. Every move she took was part of a larger goal. Asuma just took the fight as a series of exchanges. It's probably why his shogi game needs work. Could you do better? Shikamaru was surprised by the question. Probably not. The problem is her genjutsu and fuinjutsu are so versatile. Kakashi respected the boy's opinion. Shikamaru was one of the people he had been able to influence peripherally. While Shikaku disagreed with Kakashi's enforced training schemes, he had pushed his son to take his training seriously. The fact that Shikamaru was a jonin at 14 was a testament to Shikaku accepting Kakashi's argument that war was coming. Genius without effort made Shikamaru a dangerous target for enemy nin attempting to gain intelligence. By being able to defend himself adequately, it made Konoha's secrets far safer. Naruto walked up to Sakura and said, we should celebrate. Where do you want to go? My treat. Sakura was still coming off the post-victory high. She had done it. She had defeated an elite jonin of the village. She would have never thought 2 years ago she would be this strong. Her hope at the time was to snag Sasuke and become his girlfriend. Now she had a passion, a true passion. Sure, Naruto, but everyone from Team 7 is invited. Sakura had easily seen through his attempted offer of a date. Naruto snapped his fingers. Hey, a guy has to try, right? Kakashi slid in next to his 2 students. It sure was nice of you to offer to pay for everyone. Naruto groaned theatrically. Team 7 was by no means short of funds. Their equipment came from the village budget itself, and that included the largest expenditure, fuinjutsu scrolls and ink. Sasuke had also been watching and only now appeared. Nice work, Sakura. I'm glad you're on our team. Sakura felt a warm glow fill her. She had earned Sasuke's respect a long time ago, however, to actually have him say it was nice. Sasuke turned to Kakashi. Guys, training camp for Asuma, huh? What's the plan? Not here, I'll tell you more back at our training grounds. Break. Team 7 returned from the dinner and headed toward their base of operations. At the gates of Konoha they were met by Neji Hyuga, Guy and Shizune. At Kakashi's signal, Naruto created clones and transformed them into his teammates and sent them running in multiple directions. It was standard operating procedure. They arrived at their base and gave the appropriate signal to the Anbu station there. Once inside, Kakashi said, "Now I can answer your question, Sasuke, as well as explain why these three are here. Jiraiya-sama has appreciated the results of our rapid response force. We are going to be gaining a second team. That team will consist of Asuma Sarutobi, Shizune, Neji Hyuga and Maito Guy. This will allow us to go with Jiraiya when he meets with the Mizukage while the second team fills in." Sasuke analyzed the team. Guy and Neji were lethal in close combat, Shizune was support as a medical nin, and Asuma had two strong elemental affinities. While they lacked a genjutsu specialist, they were quite strong. Not as strong as his own team, but worthy to fill in their shoes while they completed other tasks. For the next 2 months we will also be conducting intense training. Guy will train them in taijutsu and I will train them in ninjutsu and genjutsu detection. During this time my own team will also be tutored in Guy's specialized fighting style. Sasuke guessed, Goken. Kakashi seemed amused. "I know he'll be teaching a style that has no real name." Guy laughed. "I invented it so I would not lose our spars automatically to Kakashi's Sharingan. Sasuke instantly put 2 and 2 together. Naruto also connected the dots. Sasuke unconsciously let loose his killing intent. Finally all of his training would be put to use. The only reason to be learning Guy's style of countering the Sharingan is if they were going to be going after a Sharingan user. That meant Itachi. I will have my revenge. Kakashi held up a finger and moved it side to side. I will have none of that, Sasuke. If you cannot control your chakra presence you won't be going along. Sasuke didn't argue with the rebuke. He simply said, "Hi Kakashi-sensei, it won't happen again." Good. Let's get started. Break. When Asuma woke up he was furious with himself. He had been humiliated by a kunoichi half his age. It wasn't a Kekkei Genkai or hidden bloodline, it wasn't a mastery of ninjutsu or taijutsu, it was none of those. He was outsmarted by someone with 1/10 of his experience. It was humiliating and altogether frustrating since he would be sidelined against the Akatsuki. His temper was reined in when Kakashi had told him that they would still use his talents and that the 3-month training period was to get him up to par. 3 months of the harshest training he had ever gone through was on the table. Blistering taijutsu workouts with Guy followed by rapid expansion of his repertoire in ninjutsu were just the beginning. Asuma likened combat to a game. He found parallels to it with shogi and he enjoyed the thrill of the sudden twist, the risky gambit that worked and the pleasure of a good fight. A good fight in his mind had an opening where each shinobi felt the other out, an exciting middle game that brought out more advanced jutsu and skills that ultimately concluded with a dramatic climax with him smoking in victory. Kakashi's version of combat was far different. Kakashi had the lead in the operation and Sir Asuma had to play by his rules. If you knew the opponent's capabilities you should move to kill within the first minute. If you didn't know the opponent's capabilities you learned them by keeping your distance and letting clones feel out the enemy. Kakashi was obsessed with analysis and made Asuma go through every step of his fight with Sakura. Every weakness exposed and every counter explored. Spars were interesting. Kakashi and Sakura would take on the role of Itachi. In the spars the participants were not allowed to touch Sakura as she simply represented Itachi's genjutsu while Kakashi moved like he thought Itachi would. It was humbling in how badly he failed to even lay a scratch on Kakashi. He suspected the point was to show that Asuma could not fight alone against their target. Guy and Naruto rotated taking on the role of Kisame. The tailless beast was strong and wielded one of the legendary swords of the mist. Rumor had it that he favored Kenjutsu but had a dangerous repertoire of Suten Jutsu. His sword was said to be able to eat chakra, making him almost the perfect foe to go against Naruto, Kakashi and Sasuke. Instead, if Kakashi had his way, Guy, Asuma and Neji would work together to take him out. Guy did not use ninjutsu and Asuma and Neji would provide backup. His own team would deal with Itachi and Shizune's primary task was to stay alive and provide medical support. The first 2 weeks were hell on Asuma. He was being pushed further than even his old man had done when he was younger. But Asuma persevered. He would take part in wiping out the organization that took the best thing in his life away from him. Break. A month had passed since Team 7 had begun their training with the newcomers. Jiraiya looked through Kakashi's report and was satisfied with their progress. 2 more events had occurred and both times the rapid response team had saved lives. The economy was booming as the elemental nations looked to Konoha for their missions. Konoha's teams were kept busy as nobles from all lands sought their shinobi. Naruto Namikaze was requested daily, but each time the request was rebuffed. Despite that, Konoha's reputation hadn't stood this high since the time of the Shodai. First, the failed invasion that proved that Konohagakure could survive a surprise attack from two villages at the same time. Then the return of two of the Sannin. That was followed by the utter destruction of Otogakure. The Chunin exams in Kumo, Naruto Namikaze's reveal, and the slaughter of the Iwa assassins all built on the past successes. The Land of Fire was populous and had a strong bond with its hidden village. Konoha had renewed a strong alliance with Sunagakure and was making inroads with the Land of Water. Iwa was defanged and proud Kumo was looking nervously at the growing might of the Leaf Village. Shikaku entered and without preamble said, "4 Chunin have gone missing." They were on an internal patrol near the Land of Waves. Jiraiya frowned. The Land of Waves hadn't produced anything dangerous since Gato hired Zabuza a couple of years ago. Their economy had recovered and trade with them had flourished, but there wasn't anything dangerous in that region. Were there signs of combat? Shikaku shook his head. The initial thought is that they went rogue, but based on their personality profiles I find it highly unlikely. It was times like these that Jiraiya wished he wasn't the Hokage. This would be the type of mission that played to his strengths. He was tempted to send Kakashi's team, but that would be a waste of resources. 4 Chunin dead or turned missing Nin was unfortunate and he would mourn their loss, but it was not something he would send his combat specialist team to look into. Have Anko and Iruka draft 3 Chunin each from the pool and send them to investigate. Shikaku frowned. You are aware that Anko and Iruka are an item? Jiraiya grinned. Oh, I'm more than aware. His sensei's crystal ball was now one of his prized possessions. Putting them together could jeopardize the mission if hard choices need to be made. Jiraiya let his perverted grin fade. I completely disagree. The strength of Konoha is in the bonds between comrades. 2 shinobi in a relationship will know each other better than a random assorting. Iruka is a censor and Anko has the snake contract that will prove invaluable in an investigation like this. Shikaku didn't argue the point. Jiraiya was passionate about a few subjects and this was one of them. We have a month still before the meeting with the new Mizukage. I must still object at the meeting location. On an island a day's journey by ship. If they wanted to ambush us they could just destroy the ship and there would be little you could do to escape. Jiraiya shook his head. They aren't going to try anything. They can't afford a war with us. I'm taking Kakashi's team with me, so even in the unlikely event something was to happen we can fight our way out. You can't fight your way out of an entire village. Jiraiya laughed. If they think they need a village then they aren't going to try anything. If they don't think they need a village we can escape. I know you think I'm being overconfident, but I trust my gut on this. She isn't going to try anything. Shikaku bowed his head. Very well, I'll make the preparations. We'll need to leave in 3 weeks then. Jiraiya nodded. He was looking forward to getting out of the village for a bit. Break. Tsunade, Inoki and Obiki had worked closely together. Tsunade felt soiled by the tests that they had performed on Hidden. His healing had slowed after a time and it was obvious he needed something or he would perish. It could be calories from food, sunlight, ritual sacrifices, or maybe something else. Either way he was slowly dying. Chakra was life, but it was not thought. At least while a shinobi was on this side of death's curtain this was true. That meant that manipulation of the brain itself could be done. On any other human, poking around their brain with metal and surgical equipment to measure the consequences would kill them. In Hidden it wouldn't. They found ways to stop an area from healing, typically through the use of inserted objects. With that done they were able to eventually shut down whatever protective chakra Hidden had around his thoughts. That accomplished, Inoki was finally able to glean information from Hidden. His thoughts about the other Akatsuki members were of great use. Sadly Hidden had been kept in the dark about the group's ultimate purpose, but they were able to confirm that the capture of the Jinchuriki was one of their objectives. Other tests were performed on Hidden. Tests that made Tsunade feel like Orochimaru. If parts of the brain were removed, could cognitive function continue? Which parts? Could the part of the brain that was responsible for pain be severed? Could chakra be used to deaden that area by a shinobi to make them resistant to torture? What poisons and toxins could cause brain death the fastest? Was total mind control a possibility? Hidden was their test subject for all of this. They had long since ceased to allow him speech. Frozen vocal cords could not regenerate. Parts of his face and head would jerk during their experiments, but they ignored the movements. As Hidden's head starved, they wound down their experimentation. Just in case, they kept all his body parts sealed in a scroll that did not create stasis. His various parts were incinerated and stored. They created a schedule for when they would check on the ashes to make sure they had not started to bond and revive the creature. However, based on their analysis, Hidden was well and truly dead. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.